Vibrancy can also be gained by contrast. You can have contrast of shape. Take the horse racing picture over there. You've got the contrast of the angular legs against the soft background and then the splashes of colour on the clothing. What about colour? You can have contrast of colour. Take the elephants, purpley greys against yellow background. Or we've got the poppies, bright red against bright green. All these are very vibrant paintings. But you don't need bright colours to create vibrant paintings. You can use a strong contrast of light and dark. It makes very dramatic pictures. For our final picture, let's use this contrast of tone on this beach scene in late evening. I've masked out the highlights on the water to save time, bringing the gold down to the horizon level. There's a lovely white line of the water there. And then, while that's wet, just a touch of the Prussian blue and alizarin crimson. The darkness coming in. I'll just dry that off at the horizon because I want a nice hard edge. And if you were out here for real, don't forget it's going to happen very quickly. Sun goes down fast. That's why masking fluid is very useful this time of night. Also, things don't dry so fast in the evening. The beach is also turning dark, so I'm going to give it an underwash of the yellow ochre first of all. So that can go through. I can go right over the figures because they're going to be silhouettes against the background. In fact, there's a nice little touch of light. Remember, we can reserve white paper. I'm lifting it off because I went over where I wanted to. I'm going to reserve the white paper at the edge of the body there. And a little bit of yellow ochre into the water, greenish up there. And then back with my Prussian and touch of alizarin. A little bit of all the colours in there to make it a nice dark colour. Using the dry brush to reserve some of the white paper. And because I've got the masking fluid, I can just go right across all those highlights. Less light at the sides because the sun is above and behind the figures. Lighter in here so it doesn't kill off all that lovely ochre. And not too dark behind the figures because we want the contrast of them dark against the light. And a little bit into the sea in the background. And we've just got to let that dry. Now it's completely dry, let's whisk the masking fluid off. I'm using a putty rubber now so as not to get grease onto the picture because I've not quite finished. I want to put the silhouettes in, and if you rub your finger over the masking tape, you're obviously going to get grease on the picture. And then watercolour and grease don't mix. I'm using some indigo and some alizarin to make a nice dark silhouette. Using a smaller brush so I've got a nice bit of control over some of the delicacies of the shapes. The same observation applies to photographs as it does when you're working from the real world. You've still got to keep looking. Never presume that you know what's going on. And remember, we've loaded our brush so that we can do this all in one stroke. We've loaded quite a nice density of paint, so we don't have to go over it again and kill off the freshness of the first brush stroke. I've got a pencil sketch underneath, so I don't have to be too afraid about where I go. I can hardly see it now, that is true, but you don't have to be ultra accurate when you're putting figures in. It's better to have a lively brush stroke than it is to do an outline and then fill it in. Otherwise you'll lose that whole lovely thing that the watercolour brush is meant to do. Around the little knee there. And their reflections are just as much part of their silhouette as are their bodies. So we can bring this in now with a bit of sort of dry brush. Again, it's the brush stroke. Get the head below the head. And the last little figure in the middle. Just want to just brighten up that sky a bit. The contrast is slightly greater. Bring that down across the sea there, a little bit across the broken water in the background. And again, just dab off the edge there because I don't want it to run. Just give some definition to the sandbank here, so it's not too light, because it's actually quite dark against the sky and against that bright sea. Especially out towards the edges, away from the light of the sun. And so we get a bit of contrast where that light hits the back of the head there, where we've saved the white paper. And then a few ripples in the water. Again, using that nice brush stroke. As well as all these tools and techniques, you can help keep your paintings vibrant by keeping them simple. Don't overwork them, and above all, don't be tempted to fiddle. The most vibrant thing you can include in your watercolours is yourself, your love of painting, your love of life. Have confidence, and you'll create vibrant watercolours.
Now available on DVD. Try these techniques yourself at home whenever you wish. The extended version of today's workshop is now available to order on DVD from the Painting and Drawing channel. For further information and to order your copy, go to www.paintingdrawingchannel.com.